Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. My name is Rin. Some of you know me as Rin the Yordle. The stream will be starting very soon here. I'm going to let everybody get into the channel first before I get started. So we'll let this run for a little bit. If you have any questions, comments, anything of the sort, please tag at Rin or Rin the Yordle. It'll highlight it in chat for me so that I can respond to any questions. Just so you know, this is a pre-recording, so I won't be able to speak out to you guys on any questions. I will, however, be able to respond in chat. Hopefully you guys enjoy. For those of you just joining, hello, my name is Rin. The stream will be starting very soon. So just sit by for a little bit, let people join in on the stream. Today is an art stream by me. I'm a fan artist, my name is Rin. We'll go into more detail in a little bit here. We're just waiting for people. For those of you curious, by the way, all the music that you'll be hearing today is directly from ArenaNet on soundcloud.com/ArenaNet. Pretty easy to find. They just updated it with, this is Timey's game. I really like it. So we'll be going into the art and details really soon here. Give it just another minute. Let people get here. And then we'll start the stream. Get into the art. Fancy art. By the way, the art that you're seeing right now is a slightly older piece of mine. Just a little bit. But I made it for my friend. Got me and a couple of our mutual friends in there together. So one of my larger pieces, and then the one that I will be working on and showing you today is one I made just slightly after it. So let's go ahead and get started here, shall we? Hi guys! Hello and welcome. My name is Rin. A lot of you know me as Rin the Yordle. I am a fan artist, and I'm here to show you guys my process today on this piece. If you guys were at PAX West, I was at the event as well for the Guild Wars 2 meetup, which was really fantastic. Everybody was super awesome, and I made this piece for it just to kind of hand out to people, anybody who wanted it. It was a 5x7, just a little bitty print. But I wanted to show you guys my process on this, and it's a sped up speed paint that I created. So it's about an hour long. The total time it took me to make this piece, though, was somewhere around 10 hours. So I'm going to do my best to explain my process and show you guys how something like this comes to life. So, because this is my life, this is what I do. I make fan art and create these kind of pieces all the time, and I love doing this. I like drawing Asura. I love Taimi. She's great. Anyways, so we'll go ahead and get into this. So, here's the video that I've produced for you guys. It started off just slightly before I started the SketchUp, so, but you'll still see the rest of my process of this, okay? So, like I said, it's sped up. I definitely didn't draw that fast. If I could, it would be fantastic. What I'm doing right now is I'm getting the base poses for the characters, and you're gonna see me go through a lot of details and kind of swap back and forth trying to figure out how I want the composition to be held, but for the most part, like, I'm trying to draw the characters in proportion to each other, and then I try to fit them in space. So you'll see a lot of edits kind of happen here and there through that. It's a way I just like working, especially with Photoshop. Now you'll see me struggle a little bit with Braum here coming up, and I'm gonna get you guys some details on that. So one thing that you'll probably want to do, especially when you're making fan art, or when you're making, say, character art of another person, anything that you need to try to really get the details of a character or person, you'll want to study that for a while. And the thing that I struggled on was a couple of the characters' faces, because I didn't study it probably as long as I should have. But it's a good thing that you guys see this too, because it's a learning process as well. I'm learning new stuff every single time I'm drawing. So while that's kind of still sketching through, you'll see really soon here, I get up to Braum's face and I'm like, okay, I'm totally not happy with this. What you guys want to do, and I'll push this off to the side here, is really take a little bit of time to find more out about the character or person that you're doing, like I said, right? So I gathered these screenshots and I did my best to really figure out how I wanted to characterize all of them, rather than just like, okay, I know he looks like this, but, you know, your own style is going to kind of show through with this, right? So how was I going to take Braum and put him in my style? How was I going to make each of these characters and put them in my style? So after having some problems here, you'll see me like, okay, I'm trying to focus too much on the face, and I erase all of it, and I put my guidelines back in. I'm like, all right, come on, let's make sure I'm doing proportions right, because I'm focusing too much on the eyes and everything. So it took me a little bit, but after studying his face more and finding out really where, like, how I draw eyes, I usually draw them pretty big, and I'm usually kind of a cutesy person, but I'm still trying to give that, like, that gruff look that Braum has, well, but still giving him kind of a softer side, because he's totally got a soft spot for Taimi. Like, he looks out for her all the time. So I really wanted to make sure that that showed through, and it took a while. I had to readjust a couple things. See there, I'm adjusting his head and everything. But after a while, I feel like I got it pretty good. But yeah, screenshots. Screenshots are going to be huge, and luckily, because this is fan art and I get to have tons and tons and tons of references, I can go through each of these, and from concept art to in-game screenshots, I can really get in here and pick out details that I want to create for each of the characters. So, granted, I can still put my own spin to it, but it really does help. So, yeah, I made sure I got all of these details as much as I could and zoomed in on portions of it so I could really pay attention to, like, Casimir's armor a little bit more, and definitely Taimi's. I had more of Taimi screenshots, like here, where I was trying to get zoomed up on her armor just a little bit more, because she's the one who I had to show most of compared to the rest. So anyways, video continues here, and you're just seeing me really just kind of pencil in everything. Oh yeah, I was trying to fix Taimi's foot too. Now, a lot of what I just did there, and what you didn't see with Taimi and Braum when I first started off, is I will draw in very basic shapes that I notice about each character. So I know that I really wanted to make sure the shapes pulled through. And you saw the, like, I made sure the cheeks came down and the nose. You really want to detail all of that. Brahm's face was the same way. I was trying to make sure that I got his nose and his cheekbones in there. Because he's a Norn, you know? They've got that very, very strong look. There's my little folder of work. Now you'll see here, I just started off because I kind of ran out of space and I didn't want to accidentally overdraw or anything. I do have them on a different layer, but I drew Casimir and Marjorie really small to start. But I started to readjust them as I needed to based off of a little bit of space. And also, I was cheating a little bit here too. So let's be honest, when you really want to get so many characters into such a tiny place, there's gonna be a little bit of cheats. Like, Casimir and Jory are definitely not going to be that tall above Bram, right? None of them are. It's just not going to happen. So they're probably standing on a box or something back there. But I wanted to make sure I got all the characters in. And originally my focus was just going to be Bram and Taimi. And then I was like, I can't draw just the two of them. Everybody at PAX is going to be mad like, where's everyone else? And I still got a couple comments of where's Kanak. So I'm sorry for those of you. I did not get a Sylvari in this. I'll try to draw a Sylvari for you next time. Maybe. I don't know. I'm still pretty biased. I love drawing Asura. Yeah. So a lot of this is just getting the details in because what I do from here is I just try to get the proportions and the base shapes out the way I wanted to, because I will actually use this sketchy line art in part of my final process, and you'll see that too. So it's really important for me to make sure that all of the proportions are down and how I want to fit everybody into this tiny space, which I was really worried too about making sure that I zoomed in rather than getting the space correct. Like, again, where I was saying they're probably standing on a box because there's no way they'd all fit in here like this. I wanted to make sure more than anything, because I knew what my final piece was going to be, and that was a 5x7. I mean, literally, they're about this big, 5x7 piece. I wanted to make sure everybody could see those details. And you're not going to see that very well if you're, you know, like, if they're really zoomed out or anything like that. The focus isn't going to be there. So here, once I have all the characters kind of sketched in and I like how they look, I'm trying to move everybody around. I'm trying to make sure Rox fits in there. I'm trying to make sure Bram fits in there. Kaz, Jory, Taimi. So I keep moving stuff around to make sure that it feels proportionate. Another thing too that you guys probably saw me do, I flip the canvas quite frequently, and that's to check proportions and composition. It really, really helps when you move stuff around, because once you start staring at something for such a long time, you get kind of stagnant with it, and it starts to feel weird. Right? So sometimes it's good to, well, anyways, you should be taking breaks, but when you're really stuck on something, take a break. Even if you've already taken your stretch break, which, by the way, every hour, artists or gamers, whatever you do, if you're at the computer for like over an hour, you need to get up and stretch every hour. Artists especially, make sure you're stretching your hands. I push that a lot with my stream. So make sure you guys are doing that, because you will injure yourself very badly. I've actually injured myself so bad that I couldn't hold a pen or my tablet or anything for 2 weeks straight. So you need to make sure that you're doing that. Take care of yourselves, guys. It's really good. So anyways, what I'm doing here, now that I got comfortable with a decent composition and the proportions and everything, I was like, all right. So what I do is I have the line art, or my sketch line art, on one layer, and then I'll start just doing flat colors in the background with minor little highlights and stuff where I want things to be. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm being really messy though. And the reason that I'm messy with this is because I like, once I have everything kind of how I want it to be, I'll merge all the layers and paint on one layer for the characters. Maybe 2 or 3 if I want to separate each character so that I can move them around separately later. But for this, I literally painted all of the characters together, having only the background separated from them. And I like doing that because I like picking up colors that merge together. I like finding out what happens with the color based off of that. I like seeing how they mix on their own rather than me forcing the color to be there. I'm a very vibrant person, but sometimes I get carried away with looking at very specific details like, okay, his hair is supposed to be red. Her bow is supposed to be pink. Her hair is supposed to be black. That I won't let the colors do what they're supposed to with the shades and everything. So I really try to just let the colors make themselves as much as possible because, yeah, otherwise everything gets too stagnant. It starts to flatten out really badly. So I like going messy. Messy's been really fun, and then cleaning up afterwards is like a therapy process for me. I just love going in, and you'll see that later. You're also gonna see too, I do about like, what is it? I think 3 or 4 renditions of Casimir face, and Jory, I did like 3 or 4 renditions of her face as well. The end product changes quite a lot because those two, for whatever reason, I was just so unsatisfied with their faces. And you'll see that. So again, I'm literally just trying to get in the highlights and darks, very basic highlights and darks. You're gonna see a different thing that I do too with the lasso tool, that I will put some other shades and stuff in as well. That's to push another type of shade rather than just doing like, okay, here's a darker color of her hair, yay. Here's a darker color of red. I really like making sure that the complementary colors shine through. So I really wanted this piece to be warm, so I did the yellow background and I'm painting lightly so that that yellow kind of shines through on some of the characters and I'm getting that reflective light coming in from the back. And then to boot, the complementary color that I really wanted is I wanted yellows and purples. So the shades that I do later is going to be this purple shade coming through. Still just base colors. There's a lot of details that go into this, guys. So, I mean, I feel kind of weird that I'm not actually drawing at the same time, but I really wanted to show you guys a complete final piece. And that's hard to do when pieces take me, especially when I do more than one character, just take me a long time. I feel like I'm personally slow in my work, but that doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. It just means that I have a different process, and being slow isn't bad. So if you guys ever feel like your work's not going as quick as you should be, and you see these other artists, like, you know, hammering out artwork in like an hour, and it's beautiful and perfect, it takes time and practice to be there, and not everyone's style completely meshes up with that. So you have to plan around what type of work it is that you make. So if you have a deadline in a week, you kind of have to plan out, you know, depending on how fast you work on stuff and how quick you are at certain things. I can draw Asura a lot faster than I can draw humans. Why? Again, it's my cutesy style. I'm very used to drawing rounded, shorter shapes like chibis and stuff like that. It's very comfortable for me. Compared to humans, I know them, but I struggle personally with them. Not that it's a bad thing, it's just I feel like I could put more detail into it. I'm trying to find out how my cutesy style can still look like my stuff while making humans still look like humans without like completely contorting them, if that makes sense, right? So they take me a little bit longer. Now what I'm doing here, I'm doing an overlay. I also colored the line art. And I was doing a color balance. Here's where once I have all my flats in, I do an overlay to bump colors, I do the color balance. I'm doing what I can to make the other colors kind of pop here. I really want these highlights to show up, I really want these darkers to show up, and I want these levels to really balance out, which I'll eventually get a level layer in here. I think I do that a bit later, but that's to show, instead of working in grayscale, what I'll do is in the adjustments over here, there's an adjustment that you can do for a gradient, which you can just do black and white. That way you can watch your levels and making sure that your details are popping and where they should be, because you want darks against lights so that things pop. Does that make sense? Right, and here's what I said. Here's where I'm using the lasso tool to really get these darker shades coming in, because everything was kind of flat right here. I just knew that from looking at it, that I just had really basic shapes and shades in here. I needed to make sure that those darker spots really show through so that you see a separation between Braum and Taimi, who are up front, and then you have a separation of the characters in the back. So those lighter, crisp areas are going to be right on the edges of where Taimi and Braum's heads are, compared to the dark areas behind the characters, and then it gets lighter as you come up to the characters' faces. This is to help with depth of field, right? So I'm trying to use a purple here too, because like I said, I really want those colors to shine through. I don't want just those flat one-dimensional colors, which isn't always bad. It just depends on what your background is and what colors you want to really shine through. So I really, again, I like being vibrant, so instead of using darker blacks and stuff like that, I like using purples and blues to give a more animated and colorful effect to my drawings. So like I said, remember I said I like working messy? This is where I like working messy, because now here's where the long part starts. This is where everything comes together. We're only 15 minutes into this hour-long video, and I'll probably skip through a piece here or two. But this is where see how I'm picking up the colors? I'm literally picking everything up, and I'm just shading in as I need. And if I feel like I need something like a little bit brighter of a color, I'll pick that up, and I'll adjust it as I need to. But I like being really loose. I like getting the details in as I'm painting, and I like changing stuff as I work. It feels comfortable for me. I like letting the painting morph itself to where it feels right. And it's just it's a way I like to work. Not everybody likes to work like this. Every single artist is different. But this is what I have found more comfortable for myself, depending on which brush I'm using. Now, my OBS doesn't like recording my brush very well, but I am using a square brush that's textured. And I can give you guys those brushes too, but you can find all of them on my DeviantArt, basically. On my DeviantArt, rintheyordle.deviantart.com. In my favorites, you'll see a brushes section, which I have all the brushes that I have on my Photoshop downloaded into there. And I believe the square brush that I'm using now is from Keenan Lafferty, Knockwurst, or KNKL. You should be able to find his brushes really quick and easily, and he's got some awesome ones if you guys like having that textured, painted look. Another thing that I'm trying to get used to and that I'm finding a lot of fun with is that, again, I get really focused on details, right? So allowing these messy paintings and then trying to brush stuff in softly from picking up the colors gives me a little bit more leeway and make sure that I am paying more attention to the detail, or less of the details, and just letting the art flow the way I feel it should. So I mean, I still get really clean work, but it still helps with making sure that I'm not going in and like making a pen tool and perfect solid crisp line, which isn't bad, but I'm trying to do paintings. I'm not trying to do like my chibi style where I need those crisp solid lines and then, you know, solid colors and stuff like that. I want to blend. I want things to really show. I want those, like where I have on Rox's face here, the highlight. I really wanted to make sure that that highlight came through, so I picked up that color from the line art and everything that I painted. Like, see how I have the line art right here, really light? I like picking those colors up. I like using them as lines instead of just a solid color. I like letting the painting describe itself or whatever feels good. And that's just where it's fun. Like, I had a lot of fun detailing Rox's face. Getting all those things in. All of her little, her fuzzies. And all of her, her patterns. She has a very interesting face pattern, by the way. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I mean, we all noticed her eyes right away. But, her pattern on her fur is really cool. Same with her hair. Her hair kind of, like, blends in. I like it. There we go. So that's where I added the gradient map, and I was checking stuff really quick, making sure that things were popping from the background. I'll just slowly kind of move around stuff. Make sure that I'm not focusing on one area too long. Just slowly keep painting stuff in. It's gonna be this way for a while. So I'll probably skip through in a little bit because a lot of it's the same process. This literally, excuse me, this is the longest process for me here. Like, the base, putting everything together, not too bad. Takes me an hour or two. Maybe 3 if it's really big like this. I think the sketch work for this took me about 2 hours. And then the rest of the 10 was just rendering and fixing Casimir and Jory's face. Oh, and Bram's face too. Bram's face, I was like, oh no, I don't like it. I only had to like readjust it once. Fun fact, I struggle with human noses. You'll see me redo her nose like 20 times until I'm happy with it. I think along with eyes and mouths, the nose is very descriptive of a character as well, and you want to make sure that you get that down right. Both Marjorie and Casimir have like a cute kind of button nose, but Casimir's face is a little bit more pointed, while Jory's face is more rounded. And I was trying to make sure that stayed through with the characters so that you would recognize them. I still feel like my style really changed a lot on Casimir, but it still felt right later. So another thing too is when I get stuck, I always keep a backup, and you guys saw that for a second where I was flipping between the old sketch into the new painting. Keep a backup. In case you mess something up and you're really not happy with painting over top of stuff, keep something as a backup if you need to. So that if you mess up, you can, you know, crop out that face, go back to your original sketch, re-put it back in there, and start painting over top again, you know? Like, if you're really unhappy with it, or you accidentally get too crazy into the detail, or you're struggling, it's a little bit easier to do that. So, and I'll frequently go back and check my sketches. It's okay if my sketch work isn't exactly alike the final product, because it's gonna change. But again, that's the fun of it. Another thing too, which I'm gonna pause for a second, I'm gonna show you guys something kind of cool here. Another thing is if you really do need to zoom in and get some serious details on stuff, let's pause this for a second. So here's a little tip for you guys. If you guys are stuck, you're really wanting to, like, you want to go in and you really want to get the details of her eyes. Say Tybee's eyes, right? You really want to zoom in and you want to paint this area. What you want to make sure is that you're still paying attention to the rest of your painting. If you get too sucked into a certain area or a certain detail, you're gonna get stuck. And then you're gonna zoom back out and you go, oh my god, what did I do? This is horrible. Here's a cool little trick, at least for Photoshop. I don't know about Painttool SAI or any other programs, which I do apologize for. But however, if you go to Window here, go to Arrange, you can click this called New Window for whatever the heck the name of your project is. So mine is PAX Guild Wars 2. Now, here's where the other window popped up. So now you can have two things at once. However, if you make any changes, I'll just show you really quick. If you make any changes to this area, that's not my brush. We're gonna go back to my brush really quick. I will just use a brush. Anyways, if you really need to get in here and like, oh man, I need to fix her nose. I must do it. Anything that you do, let's do something that you guys will see in this more. But let's say I really wanted her nose to be like way pink. Hey, look, it shows up in real time on the other piece as well. So you can actually see whatever you're editing in a smaller space along with you zooming in. I highly recommend it. It's something that I'm very happy that one of my friends actually taught me. I really recommend it for other people as well. So it's really nice, especially when you're doing line art. I like doing it for when I'm zooming in on these eyes and stuff like that. I want to just get these fine little details. Most people may not notice it, but it's the thing I like to do. Like I said, it's comforting to me. So that's really nice. Just a little tip for you guys there. So anyways, yes, I know, I'm sorry. I know it's a hidden layer. I'm making it mad. Alright, back to this. So we're just gonna skip ahead a little bit. Just a little. Just a little. Because I don't want to bore you guys entirely. I will have this entire video up on my YouTube later if you guys are curious and want to see the full render video. I will have that up later. That way you guys can see this and you can see the stream later if you would like to. I will do my best to make sure that that is up, and any questions or anything that you see, you can ask me wherever. You know, if you see something of an interest, I'll do what I can. I like trying to help. I like giving tips where I can because I'm always, like I said, I'm always learning new things when I'm working. Drawing is very interesting. Being an artist is very interesting because your style and how you process stuff always changes as you learn new stuff. And I think that's true for, well, geez, anything that you pretty much do. You're always learning new stuff. And if you're not, you should be, because it's fun to learn new things. It is. Shock. So yeah, we'll skip ahead just a wee bit. Just a little. So you can see I had finished and cleaned up mostly Casimir's face. And then I started working on Braum. Now, the thing, and this is where I said, like, really studying character details will really help you. I think I did way better job with that on Braum and Tiny and Rox than I did with Jory and Casimir. And I say that only because they have very distinct faces, and I like depicting those details. Braum's face is chiseled. He's got very specific areas under his eyes on that jaw, or the bone here, the cheekbone. And he's got a very distinct jaw. And his nose is like super chiseled. Like, Norns are very interesting with that. Like, their faces are very, very distinct. Char's faces are very, very distinct. Asura faces are very distinct. And I think that's why I like them so much more. I love interesting characters that have very, very understandable shapes to their faces. I think that's where, like, humans do too, but they start to get, you know, like, we start making the super pretty people where they have the perfect, like, flawless face, which is great and everything, but it's not as fun to paint. It's like, oh, okay, it's flat. A beautiful, flat, gorgeous face. I'm bored. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just where I get bored, personally. And that's where I loved painting Braum's face and getting those details on him. It was really, really fun. Bram. Painting guy lips, too, was different for me. Like, not the usual feminine lips that are nice and kind of rosy. Nah, he got man lips. He a man. Bro. I don't know about you guys, but I love these characters. I want to do more fan art of them. I hope I can in the future. Either way, for those of you who were at PAX, if you got one of these prints, I really hope you liked it. I had a lot of fun painting this, and I would really like to do something more for the community again at some point. Hopefully next PAX. Maybe I'll do something cool. I know something I want to make fan art of, but I don't want to spoil it. Spoilers with the new episode. Which we're not going to go into that. But I'm sure if you guys know, after me saying that I like to draw cute things, you'll know exactly, for those of you who have done it, what I want to draw. Drink your water. It's good stuff. I wish I had a little bit more to say right now, but like I said, the process is about the same. Remember I was saying with shapes though? Even the feathers. very distinguished shapes to them. I really like making the highlights, and see again where I'm picking up the colors in here? I picked up these blues in here, but it's more white right here, and I've got a little bit of that yellow, hard yellow on the outline there. That all comes through, especially when you look at the grayscale, the gradient map. It shows. Oh, there's something I can tell you guys about. Okay, so if you guys want those really hard shapes, like where Brahms' nose is, right? Compared to the softer, where things start to go gradient out. If you guys really want to get those details, what you need to do is literally, it's like gradients. You need to have the highlights really close to the dark areas, and then if you want it to fade out, you have to gradient it out from light to dark. Don't gradient everything, okay? That's something when I was beginning art, especially when I was young, I didn't quite understand, so I'd make a gradient out of everything. Now, if that's the style you're going for, then that's fine, because I've seen, like, super flat style, with chibis and stuff like that. They, you know, some of it doesn't even have shades to it. So don't take that the wrong way. That's just a style. But if you're looking to get details, you're going to really want to make sure that you get those sharp, crisp edges, and making sure that those details pop. And that's what's going to be really fun about stuff like that. I've been having fun, like I said, getting those shapes in, making sure those details really show up, while still giving the really soft areas to other portions. Like here in Casimir's dress. See how it slowly fades in because I really wanted that dark area to slowly fade up. But, you know, you've got her neck and her collarbone, which I really wanted to make sure shown. Because she's in shape, you know? Gonna see that collarbone. And you see it in her character model too. So, that's why. Details. You gotta pay attention to all these details. Taimi's just a cutie. So fun fact. I don't know if you guys... Well, I'm sure those of you who play Asura noticed. But those of you who don't. Do you know Asura don't have eyebrows? Would it be weird if Asura had eyebrows? I kind of want to draw eyebrows on Taimi now. Should I do that? Nah. What if Asura had facial hair? Alright, we're going completely so cute. Oh, and I drew Derprin. I don't know why. Hey, welcome to the mind of Rin, where I don't know what I'm doing half the time either. Somebody draw me a Asura with facial hair. Like, the best. Super mustache. Just curly cues and everything. Be fabulous. So here I am. Once again, I wasn't super happy. I wanted to do some other changes. Like I said, I really like getting those extra details in there. So I wanted to make sure I got that. Like, hey, she's got, you know, the eyelid here. And she's got a little bit of eye makeup that I didn't put in there. And I want her nose to be a little bit softer, but I want her cheeks and stuff still to really show up. So I go back in again. I just keep trying to fix up her face. It took me a while. It really did. And sometimes you just have these things. Like, I'm still practicing. I'm still working on human faces. You know? Like, some of you guys may be like, oh, what are you talking about? It's fine. I personally would like to get a little bit better with it. Just for my style. Like, I feel like I've got an okay grasp of it. But I'm still learning a lot of stuff. And if you guys are out there and you're going, man, I'm never going to be good at art and stuff like that, guys, you're going to keep learning for a long time. Please don't give up hope. Please don't give up hope. You gotta keep practicing. You gotta. But yeah, after, remember what I said? Again, I'm doing the same thing. I was like, okay, I really want her face to still have that look, but I really want her nose to show up. So I did 2 other layers in which I kind of toggled back and forth to see what I liked more, if I was going to mess it up or not. Changed her eyebrows. I got a little bit more detail around her eyes. I got more detail into her nose. I wanted to make sure that the bridge of her nose popped up a little bit better. Cleaning up Braum again. It's just a long cleanup process. I like how his face came out though. I think I go into like clean up just under his cheekbones just a little bit. Oh, okay. So here's the thing I like doing with armor. You're gonna see with Taimi's armor how I kind of do this. And then another reason why I like painting the way I do. So the details here get completely crazy. Like, I lost a lot of it, and here's where I just try to paint in very subtly where I kind of think things are, and I let the rest of it paint itself in. And it's nice, and it's fun. So I'm just kind of blurring the details in, but I'm going from, and here's a really good rule to kind of remember here, guys. Go from dark and paint your lights in on top. I found that works the best, especially with armor, but you'll see how I've got everything kind of really a muted color right now, but I'm painting in and making those highlights afterwards, and I'm gonna get all those highlights in there with the extra, and it starts to like push itself up to where you're not making line art of everything. I didn't make line art for every single piece of her armor. I literally just painted in like the highlights over top, and it made itself, and it's nice. Makes it so much easier rather than like line arting every single little piece, because then everything looks super chiseled and like it's a part of her, and it's just, I don't know, it doesn't fit right that way. So I like making sure that each entity picks up on itself. So that's been really fun with me, at least with painting armor a little bit more compared to before, because before I hated it. I hated painting armor. Yeah, see? See, I just add a little highlight and suddenly it picks itself up. There's no me having to, like, I lined art a lot of the little special places, but I mean, there's lines in right here that I didn't fully paint in. I just added a little highlight and look, it made itself. Ta-da! Hey, look, I added a little highlight in here and look, these lines all made themselves. Ta-da! Like, I didn't have to completely line everything out. I just got kind of a gist of it and I was like, la 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 la, okay, it looks good. Armor like that works great for me. Oh, it looks like I'm showing my process again really quick. So I'm just showing like how I got up to it really quickly. I streamed a portion of that on my channel. Just a little bit. When I was working on it. Because I ran out of time. I was like, oh man, I need to stream, but like, I want to make sure I get this done in time for PAX. I ended up printing more. Because I printed like 30 of these. And then when I got to PAX, I was like, I've already given away like 10 to friends alone. I want to make sure I have some for the party, and there's going to be enough people here, so I ended up printing like another 30, and I was down to like 10 at the end of the night that I ended up not giving away. But those ended up going away to other friends later, so it was nice. It's good stuff. But yeah, again, see how I'm getting the really nice highlights right here in the top of her hair against that, but it starts to blend in and the gradients go out into this darker area to give kind of a rounded feel to it. But you know, because like even here, ooh, hey, look, I have reference. So my hair, you see right here in the top where the light strikes hard, you can see that difference, but it kind of shades and goes out. So this is the crescent area my hair is, and then it fades out to the end. Like real life, but you can make it cartoony. I don't know. I'm weird. I'm sorry. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Hopefully this is a good stream for you guys so far. Looks like we're at the 45-minute mark here, so we're gonna keep going. And still kind of show you a little bit more here where I get... But we're getting close to the finish here. You're just gonna see me basically finish up Taimi and then struggle on like 4 or 5 renditions of Jory's face. I struggled so much on Jory's face. I don't know why. Everything else was like, oh, okay, you know, like I struggled a bit on Casimir, but it's all right. I'm good. I got this. And then I literally like erased her face 5 or 6 times. I was so like angry with it. I could not figure it out for the life of me. Till I finally settled on it. So
I can barely sift through it all to find the Mordrum single. Although that does make me think of a dating site for Mordrum. Yeah, do you mind having your mind corrupted?
thank you, Anet. That okay, so I'm literally just going through the tracks here and I didn't realize we got down to Mordrum singles. That is on their SoundCloud. Not my fault. Okay? Not my fault. Well, actually, we'll go back up. I want to listen to more Timey. Let's listen to Timey stuff again. That was pretty funny. I'm sorry for that. So anyways, here I am in Ajori's face. And just imagine my suffering as I work through this. It all seemed okay, and I was like, yeah, I like her head tilted up and everything looks great. And I struggled so much with it till finally I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not trying this anymore. So angry right now. I don't know why I struggled so bad with her face. I think it's because I kind of really wanted the piece to be done, and it's again where you kind of need to take that step back. Take a break. Be like, man, why am I struggling with this? Why am I being too hard on myself right now? And I think it's, yeah, because I can even see, I'm focusing too much on those tiny details. I really wanted her face to kind of show through, but my style was kind of taking away from that, and I started to change her eyes and her lips and everything from my original sketch that I liked, which is fine. It's fine to do that, but between the two, I just couldn't find a happy medium, and I had to start over a couple times. But yeah, see here, like, I was already kind of feeling it, like, okay, I kind of like this, but we'll see how much further I... That moment when I forget I've done something. Okay, hi me. I get to laugh at myself. Talking to yourself, too, is also I talk to myself a lot when I'm working on art. So I remember that. I was laughing at myself because I was trying to give, like, sometimes you can draw lips a little differently, where they have, like, that little, just kind of, like, part right there, like, on the center of your lip. You have that the little dip. So you can kind of do that, but I was trying to do that, and I just made her look too much cat face, so I just, like, what is this? Cat face. Nyan! Margarine, nyan! Anyway, so as I keep going here, even right now, I'm watching what I'm doing now, and I'm like, okay, I see why I'm struggling. It's literally because I was paying way too much attention to little details, rather than just getting in the base of it, painting it in lightly. I was trying so hard to make sure her eyes were done, and then her nose was done, her lips were done, and then her chin was done, and then I was doing each thing separately, rather than looking at the full piece, and I kept messing stuff up. So it was stuff that needed to change, but I should have changed, like, all of it a while ago and just, like, redrawn stuff in. So we're gonna go ahead and skip through, and I'll show you guys a couple more pieces of this. So I start getting more through her hair, and then I start trying to detail the rest of it, so I skip past it. I'm like, okay, I don't know why I don't like this. I go into more of this again. More of her hair. Oh, here we go. Here's why I came back and just really quickly, fix Braum. So what I did there was I was trying to fix Jory's face just a little bit because her chin was out of proportion with the rest. And I started drawing her hair in, and now I'm on a separate layer, drawing over top, trying to clean stuff up and be like, okay, why don't I like this? What's going on here? And here's where everything starts getting a little funky because I'm trying to paint in and change stuff rather than just keeping to the proportions that I initially had. So now I'm warping my proportions way too much, and I'm getting confused. It's tough. Sometimes you run into these issues. Sometimes that happens quite a lot. I was able to fix it with Casimir more. With Marjorie, I struggled a lot more. Because I should have stopped. I should have started redrawing everything or just drew a completely new face. But instead I keep trying to change stuff and eventually it works. But it took a while to get everything kind of cleaned up. Her hair, too, just became like a solid block. And I was like, oh, I don't like this. It needs more details. I'm trying to get her hair down. Oh yeah, and I was also trying to get a little bit more of her her armor to showing, because she does have like that popped collar that goes around the back and then it nicely cuts down. So just making sure all these little details kind of get in there. But again, I should have thought through this a little bit more, and this is me again just painting completely over top. You'll see me flip the layer on and off again. And I started to lose some of my other shades and highlights, so I was trying to bring that back in. So the rechiseling and fixing of stuff. I should have been flipping the canvas, because even right now I can see like her eyes are slightly off. It's all just little things that I paid way too much detail into very specific stuff, and I should have just painted over top of it quickly, making sure that everything was there in proportion by itself. Or I'm sorry, not by itself, but all together. So there, now I figure out, I'm like, oh, okay, your eyes are wrong. Gotta fix it. Then I think I completely redraw her face again. But we're getting close. We're getting close to where I was feeling confident with it. Headshots where, like, the person has their head up a little bit too. It's kind of tough sometimes. Depending on how experienced you are with it. Jaw shapes and stuff like that can get really weird, and it feels like, you know, you're drawing way too much of a line when you don't need to, and then it just... everything kind of starts messing up a little bit. So what I had started with was her with her head up. Whoops. And I'm throwing my headphones off. Her head up, which normally works fine. And it was fine in the sketch until I started painting everything, which her head wasn't up anymore. Now her eyes are down, but her nose is up, and her chin's up, and her lips up. So it was just kind of a weird, disproportionate issue for myself. And you'll see me fix that a little bit later here. So there I start to pull her nose down, and I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm messing this up because her proportions are different. I'm trying to flip the canvas again and go, alright, okay, so her face is not how it should be. Oh yeah, also I had the blue in her eyes, which was different from everybody else back here who had kind of like the yellow reflecting off their eyes. She's also got that more cunning, like, not, her eyes aren't wide open. She's got that cunning, like, I'm a necromancer and I'm gonna kick your butt kind of thing. And I was kind of missing portions of that, so I wanted to make sure that her, like, eyeliner and stuff like that really started to get that fleek, like, yeah, don't mess with me. I'm Marjorie. And here's where everything finally starts cleaning up. I'm like, alright, I've got these proportions. I think I'm finally getting it. Just even her face back out. Don't try to put the chin up anymore. It's not there. It's not happening. Because I do everything else where her chin wasn't up. Or I drew, like, half up, half not up. And it was just confusing. I still was okay with giving her just a slightly softer smile here. Like, she's still got that fleek on point. But she's with friends. And she's with her darling Casimir. But you see how much that changed? Oh yeah, here, right here too, I'm also just trying to really quickly get shapes in and like shaded area, so I kind of know where I want, because sometimes if you squint when you're looking at stuff, you can see shapes just in a blur and where they're kind of supposed to be, and sometimes just painting that in really quickly by itself without doing all the details will really help figure that out. So that's what I was doing. I was really lightly painting the details where I wanted things to go, and here we go. Here's where I'm really fed up. And I was getting close, but everything wasn't quite where I wanted it to be, so I was changing the shape of her jaw and everything, and I wanted to make sure her proportions were right. So I just redrew all of it. quickly made an overlay, put it over top, just so I could paint the stuff in, get things where I needed it to be. And sometimes it just happens. When you're an artist, you just aren't happy with something that you're working on. It just takes you a while to get to a point that you're happy with it. And that's okay, you know? Some days it's great and easy to get to that point, and some days it is not easy to get to that point. But yeah, we're finally getting to that point. We're literally almost done here. I'll show you guys really quick how I made a couple of little extra effects. Stuff that I learned from some of my other senpais, some of my teachers of art that I follow on YouTube, and other classes I've been trying to take in my free time, which isn't very often, but I try. So we're gonna boost ahead a little bit here. She's pretty well done, though. Oh, yeah, and I forgot to paint the rest of Timey's stuff, so you can see this really quickly. Here's the rest of Timey's armor, because, yeah, I focused so much on Marjorie's face. It just took me a while, but you guys can see why. I was just struggling. And that happens. So, guys, I'm literally showing something that is hard for an artist to show when you're streaming. But it's a part of life, and you guys shouldn't feel bad if it happens, is when you struggle on art. It's okay. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You're gonna run into art blocks every once in a while. You're gonna be like, why can't I figure this out? And it takes a while of little assessments. Get assessments from your peers. People that you trust and look up to for your art. Somebody who's going to be honest with you about your art too and be like, okay, you know what? I don't like this and here's why. They'll give you a proper critique rather than, no, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, don't change anything. Sometimes it's good to have somebody who can be still a very good friend to you, but talk to you in a serious manner and be like, all right, here's what you're doing wrong. And here's why I think you're doing it wrong. Not just, oh, it's wrong, I don't like it. Well, why? You need somebody who can tell you that in very specific details. So having other artist friends, you can find a lot of them on Tumblr. I mean, there's a lot. You guys have seen other artists showing up here on the Guild Wars stream. They've been doing a lot of other artist features, which, by the way, everybody's been phenomenal. But yeah, there's a lot of amazing artists out there, guys. So please feel free to ask each other and help each other out. That's the communities that we're trying to build. It's not just gaming, it's art, it's people who cook. I mean, everything's really opened up with the world of the internet and streaming, and I really love that. So get your peers to help you out. Alright, so here I'm separating just little bits of details, but I ended up going against this. I really wanted maybe like kind of a highlight to make them pop a little more, but it was a little too much. So I took that out because I just wasn't really sold on it. Doing a couple other color balances. Here's what I'm just doing final touch-ups. Making sure everything looks good. I'm adding other little gradients to kind of push that yellow and the purple a little bit more. Very, very subtle little things here. Little texture brushes. Doing little highlights here and there. Doing more overlays to pop the colors a little bit more. Get that golden feel to it. It's all minor stuff. After you get finally everything all nice and painted, it's all just little touch-ups. Stuff like that. I also do little textures here and there with different brushes. I try to do like little sparkles showing through. I really like that splatter brush. It's a nice one. It's also, again, it's on my DeviantArt favorites. You can get that splatter brush in there. Adding a little bit of a blur once I've flattened the layers and everything. Kind of getting that depth of field to show up a little bit more. And that's basically it. So that's where you come down to, again, here's where we're at. You know, here's the final product. So I have the blur settled in. I have everything else that I needed. And here's all my layers and stuff too, guys. So, oh, which you guys can't see. So I'll pull my layers out here real quick so you guys can see this. So here's all my layers and different stuff that I did. These are my blurs and stuff like that. So taking that out, here's the before blur. Here's the after where I kind of pushed everything up a little bit closer and added the motion blur to it. So you can't see it too much. I have to zoom in. But just these little things add just that little bit more detail. I'll zoom in a lot more so you guys can see that. So see that blur? It adds just that little extra. Then I added a little texture, which you see how very light that is? Like, I don't even know if you guys can see that on stream, but it's just a light little overlay texture that I made just from painting a layer. This one I learned from Keenan. So what you do is you literally just put out a color, whatever, it doesn't matter. Go to filter, distort, or I'm sorry, noise, add noise, and here you've got a whole bunch of noise. Oh my god, right? Like, that's painfully painful. But it's there. So we zoom out, and then what you do is you, like, make this super, super large. You want to be very, 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 very sparing with this. Like, don't go crazy with this, but you'll zoom it up, set it to an overlay, and then turn that way down, like 8%, 5%. And then what you'll want to do is you only want that texture on areas that isn't the focus. So you see how it's kind of weird on Bram's face here and on their faces and stuff like that. So then what you'll want to do is just kind of get a soft brush and touch up the areas where you really don't want that to show up too much. Really soft, kind of bring it out. That way the face is the focus, but anything that's in that blurred area is going to have that kind of light grainy texture. It feels really cool when you have it put in places that you like it to be. It's all situational if you want it to or not. I kind of like the thought of it. I like how it looks when you get it all down to it. Again, checking your gradients. Here's what it looks like with the gradient map. I'm going to put my layers back where they need to go. Gradients will go back. Whatever. Oh, there we go. Gradients will really help, but see how I have the dark separated from the lights and each character pops out on their own, where Taimi pops out against from Casimir here? That's very important. Make sure that you guys are paying attention to that, okay? That's pretty much it. So hopefully, if you guys had any questions, I've been answering it in channel. If you have any questions after this, please feel free to contact me. You can contact me very easily on Twitter and here on Twitch, both which I go under by Rin the Yordle. I also have my website, rintheyordle.weebly.com. Links you to pretty much everything that I'm on. Patreon, YouTube. YouTube, my name is different. It's the only one that I'm really different on. It's Rini Elenika. I'm not going to spell that out. I'll probably do it in chat if you guys care, but it'll show up in a second here too. So thank you guys very much. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was good for you guys and informational, and any questions that you had, I hope that I answered them best I could in chat. It's been an honor to be here on the Guild Wars 2 stream. Once again, thank you very much everyone for giving me that opportunity, and hopefully I will get to see you all very soon. If you guys have any projects or ideas that you'd like to see maybe in the future, you're welcome to suggest it at me as well, because I plan to hopefully do some more streams here in which I can make some cool stuff for you guys. So thank you all. Have a good one, alright?